And our last keynote speaker in the first block is Daniel Prokop. He is a psychologist, a sociologist, who's passionate about using data to make a real difference. He's a founder of PAQ Research, which is an NGO that leads research, and this research really tries to bring a change in the society. And maybe you may know Daniel because of his book Slepé skvrny in Czech, means in English blind spots, where he explores the blind spots in society that we often overlook. And Daniel, over you.
Hello, thank you for having me. I will continue in the trend of declining English, but I will talk about experiences and what we know from the Czech Republic, and I think what could be similar in Slovakia and Hungary in some ways, which we can discuss. So I will ask you for the presentation. First of all, I want to add something to what James and Hans said. We know that early childhood education and care is important. We also know from the Czech Republic that it's not only about preschool. For example, we know that kids who are in unstable housing, in a housing where has a negative impact on health, have much worse results than the kids from the similar educated households from the same regions. The housing matters as well. If you give a child good preschool and then the child changes the housing 3 times a year and has bad housing, asthma from the housing and so on, it negates and creates diminishing results of the early childhood education. So it's exactly what James said. We see it in the Czech data as well. I will start with the Heckman curve, but I will tell you all the things which already Thomas told you. I just want to add, as Thomas said, there's big variation of the results depending on the quality of care and other factors. We know that from the studies that the interventions are in general a little bit more effective for the kids from the social disadvantaged environment. Of course, because of what James said, you are kind of negating the very bad environment with some kind of improving the conditions of early childhood. To have effect in for other kids, you have to have very good quality programs. That's one I think I want to add. There are many effects. I think Thomas said many of them. I would add one more thing. From these new waves of the studies by Heckman and other ones, they see that the early childhood education, which started in 60s or 70s in these experiments, it has impact also on the kids who went to these preschools and early childhood programs, you know. So it kind of a second generation effect. So the societal effects and the economic effects, which Thomas talked about, are in the second generation and are very important. I would add one more thing, because James focused on the neurological and other causal explanations and effects of the early childhood education. We also know, because I'm a sociologist and I have different background, we also know that there are kind of sociological effects. Kids from the poor and lower educated families are disadvantaged in schools because of the lower social and cultural capital of the families. Because they don't know often how to speak the middle class language codes. The parents are not used to the coping with the institutions. The teacher have worse expectations from the schools, which didn't go to preschools. There are also these effects which are not neurological, which kind of enhances the effects which, for example, James talked about. And as Thomas said, quality matters. What is the quality? Thomas said many of the things which I would only repeat. I would add one thing which I think is important for the Czech Republic, maybe from the Hungary and Slovakia as well. There are new studies which shows that some preschool programs have diminishing effect. It has big effect on the attendance, attainment, results in the first years, and then it kind of diminishes. And What is a factor of this diminishing effect? They found, it's researchers from, I think, the University of Chicago, that the preschool programs have a higher effect if the kid is in the class where also other kids have the preschool education, and early childhood education. If you have a kid, give him or her a preschool and then put him to a segregated school with bad education and non-aspiring environment, it creates a diminishing effect of the early childhood interventions, which I think is important in the Czech Republic because we have this selective education, right? In the first class, we are sorting kids, you know, he looks like this, he can do this thing in the entrance of the school, he will go to the segregated school, good school, average school, and so on. So I know it's kind of cynical, but it matters here because it gives you better chances to go to normal education. And that's what we see in the data I want to show you. So first of all, how does it work in Czech Republic? We don't have such a good experiments like, for example, James Ekman or other ones from the US and many other countries, maybe Norway have. But we know, for example, from PISA, that if you take kids, if you take pupils from the similar educated background, from the similar schools, from the parents with similar social status, with similar parental support, with a similar language, with similar levels of home preparations and so on, still the ones which have 2 and more years of preschool cope better in English, math, and reading in these exams. Yeah. This is not some definitive proof because it's not experiment. We just see that it's correlated in the PISA results, even among kids who are from the other perspective similar. We see that there's that kids from socially excluded areas. We did in 2011. We did sorry, it wasn't 2021, but 11. We did research in socially excluded areas of Czech Republic. And one thing was striking, the kids who went to preschool for 2 and more years again, because James said 4 years are not enough. In Czech Republic, we sometimes think that 1 year is not enough, you know, that you will put the kid to school for 1 year and it will change his life. No. In all the data I know from the Czech Republic, it confirms that if it's 2 years and more, it has much higher effect preschool than some short programs. But we see the kids who went to preschool programs for 2 and more years have a better chance to go to standard elementary school, so they don't go to the special schools and segregated schools, and they have higher chances to get to high and vocational schools. This is also when you control for the parents' education, when you control for the ethnicity, because there's a mix of Roma and non-Roma kids in these localities, when you control for their age and so on. So this is also not experiment that you would do as James Ekman, get a group of people divided randomly. One group has preschool education, one group doesn't have preschool education. These experiments we know from the abroad, but here we see the same patterns in the data we have, and I think if you put them together, they are quite convincing that the same effects exist in Czech Republic. And we try to calculate the cost-benefit analysis for the Czech Republic, taking what we know from the US, taking the effects we expect in the Czech Republic, and taking account what are the effects in terms of unemployment benefits, taxes, which the future taxpayers pay, and what are the effects in criminality, because there's also effect on criminal behavior. So these 3 outputs we put together, how we put the effects of preschool, and we show in the study which was published 3 years ago that even semi-average average cost programs have good economic effects only in these 3 areas: benefits, taxes, and criminality. There are many other effects, as I think Thomas said, in health, and so if you put them together, we can expect that even in Czech Republic, the good preschool programs, if they don't have like excessive costs, which kind of diminish the effect, that good preschool programs have good results. So the question is, do we have enough preschool? The answer is no, but the answer is it depends where you live. This is a map of Czech Republic, and it shows how many kids between 3 and 5 years of age go to preschool. You can see that in some parts of Czech Republic, it's almost 100%. There's 99% microregions with 99% attendance. There are regions below 80%, 79, 78%, where 20% of kids don't go to preschool, any preschool between years 3 to 5, when it's very important. One thing which is key to understand the barriers in Czech Republic, I think, is that it's not only problem of two regions. You see that Karlovarský, Ústecký kraj, the regions on the northwest have lowest attendance, but this is a micro-regional problem. Around 60% of the variance between attendance in the micro-regions is differences within the kraj, within the not three regions. So you have regions within Středočeský kraj in very rich regions with very low attendance. You have regions in the Ústecký kraj, which is poor region with high attendance. So it depends on the municipalities, how they try to provide the services, if they try to help poor kids to get to these services and so on. It's not thing which depends only on the big things in economics. We can change it. We can change it in our neighborhoods. Second thing, if you analyze, this is kind of showing results of one regression analysis, where we analyzed how can we explain differences in dropouts and school absences and this kind of school failures in the regions by different factors in the microregions. So the big red circle we call destabilizing poverty. We call it destabilizing for a reason, because it's a thing which connects indebtedness, changing of housing, and so on. Things which destabilizes the families. This is the biggest predictor. If it exists in the region, probably has low, bad results and big dropouts and so on. It's important to distinguish it from, for example, low education and low incomes of the families. This is not such a good predictor like the destabilizing poverty. But even when you are controlling for the destabilizing poverty, the preschool matters. The regions which have high preschool education attendance have better results and lower dropouts in Czech Republic, even if they have same levels of poverty. It's not only about the preschools, also regions which have a lot of social psychologists and support in the schools have better results, even when they have same levels of destabilizing poverty. What is the difference? So, for example, this is three parts of Czech Republic. These are very rich regions, some average regions, and poor regions. The dots are the microregions, and this shows how many people don't finish 9 grades of elementary school. In Czech Republic, it's the average. I think it's around 3% of kids don't even finish 9 grades, and in some regions, it's around 10 to 15%. You see them over here. You see, it's in the poor regions, it's very different. It's not that all poor regions will have huge dropouts. They are very different on how they are coping with the dropout rate. And you see that the purple ones, which have high preschool attendance and a lot of social psychologists, a lot of supporting staff, in general, they have much lower dropouts. In average, 4.2% of the kids drop out. The yellow ones are on the right side with average 8.8 number of kids who don't even finish 9 grades. So it really matters, and we show in our website good practices, examples of regions where they work well with the preschool and early childhood education. There are some 4. I show 2 of them. I think people from Chrudim are even here, Aleš Jirásek, so we can talk about it. Both of these are based on reaching out to the families, having Roma staff which is reaching out to Roma families, talking with the families about how the kids are educated, what were the successes of the kids at home, how it can be improved, involving the families and affecting also the environment at home, which I think James stressed very well. So you can read about this on our website, but there are many good examples, not only these 2, where it helps, and I think we should follow them. Why don't we follow them? Because as Thomas said, it will be very beneficial. One thing is that we kind of underestimate the effects, you know. In Czech Republic, and I don't know if it's also in Slovakia and Hungary, we try to save money on the things which are the most effective in the long term. Then we are putting huge amounts of money in, you know, kind of like solving the results which are being done already and so on. So the countries, Czech Republic is here in investment to early childhood education, one of the lowest investment in Europe. Slovakian Republic is here. This underinvestment in early childhood education is also transparent that we have low employment of mothers between 30 and 40, 25 to 35 years age with kids. This lower employment of mothers results in poverty of the families, it results in changing of the households, it results in worse education environment. Exactly what I think Thomas was showing. The employment and the economic condition also matters, and the good preschool attendance or capacity also helps the families to cope with the poverty. So we don't invest enough, but there are also other problems. Czech, we have 6,200 municipalities which should solve these problems. They cannot coordinate themselves. There are some of them do better, some of them do worse. You cannot manage the system. We have to change the system of 6,200 actors which are responsible for this crucial thing, which is preschool. And we don't. Sometimes we do some programs like you have to go to preschool for 5 years age or something like that, but we don't work with the families like the examples which I showed works. We don't work with the low awareness. We don't try to connect the services. So for example, general practitioners tells to the families, you know, it would be good if your kid go to preschool. So we have to work on this, on the finances, I think, on the defragmentation of the municipality system, and on connecting the services and raising parental awareness and supporting them in more fields than the preschool education to create the better environment for kids as James proposed. And there are examples it's possible, but we have to do it as much as possible. Thank you.